Are we ready? Good morning, everybody. Alan?
As I'm sure you are aware, tomorrow, November 11th, and this year it is 11/11/11 is Veterans Day. This day was chosen to mark the armistice agreement that ended the fighting in World War I, which went into effect on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. To pay homage to the veterans of all America's wars, we have invited one to be with us today. He is Rabbi Frank Breslau, and seventh graders, he is a friend of Miss Bernstein, so you better be attentive and ask good questions. Rabbi Breslau attended the Illinois Institute of Technology in the morning and the Hebrew Theological College in the afternoon and evening, and received a BSED, Bachelor of Science degree in Electrical Engineering and SMEPA. He joined the U.S. Army as a Jewish chaplain in January 1967 and was assigned to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. It is the home of the 101st Airborne Division and also had a basic combat training center for new inductees. The commander, Major General Benjamin Sternberg, thought it would be a great idea for Rabbi Breslau to go to airborne school and join the 101st. Being scared of heights, he tried to ignore the suggestion, but his fellow non-Jewish chaplains kept after him, and he finally joined in July 1967. It turned out that he was the first Jewish chaplain in the history of the U.S. Army to complete the training. He became a member of the 101st and went to Vietnam with them in December 1967. Shortly thereafter, Rabbi Breslau was assigned to the 25th Corps in the northern area of South Vietnam and became the Jewish chaplain for the 1st, 3rd, 5th Marine Divisions, the 101st, the 1st Air Cavalry Division, and the American Army. Upon returning from his Vietnam tour, he became the Jewish chaplain at Fort Dix, New Jersey. When he completed his Army tour, he enrolled at NYU and received a master's degree in engineering. He currently works at IBM and was designated a master inventor with 22 issued patents in various technical fields. Rabbi Breslau is married and lives in Teaneck, New Jersey. He has 2 grown children and 4 grandchildren. It is my honor to introduce such distinguished friends, Rabbi Breslau.
Good morning. Shimon Hanavi wrote about the impending Golos of the Jewish people from Eretz Yisrael after the destruction or after the first base on Mikdash. And I'd like to paraphrase what he said as follows. Seek the peace of the city to which I, Hashem, have exiled you to. Pray for the city to Hashem for your welfare is correlated to the welfare of the city. This is expanded in Pirkei Avos, in Perek Gimel, Mishnah Beis, where the Tanina says, one should pray for the welfare of the government, for without it, there would be anarchy and random crime which would destroy society. So we see that the concept of participating in society's welfare is well over 3,000 years old. When we celebrate Veterans Day, we're saluting those brave men and women who've devoted a portion of their lives, and in some cases their entire lives, to the welfare of the U.S., whose freedom and democracy is enjoyed by all of us, and is the envy of the majority of the rest of mankind. As a veteran of 3 years in the U.S. Army, I'm representing a large number of my fellow servicemen. And I will briefly tell you about my Army career, but every one of the servicemen has a unique story to tell about his or her experiences. I started as a Jewish chaplain with an assignment to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, which is about 50 miles from Nashville, Tennessee, literally in the middle of nowhere. At that time, Fort Campbell was the home of the 101st Airborne Division and Basic Training Center. Most of my congregants were on temporary assignment to the Basic Training Center. And having been selected to serve in the Army, because at that time, Army service was mandatory, involuntary selection ended in '73, with the addition of the base commander, Major General Benjamin Sternberg, who was Jewish, but never attended a Jewish service as long as I was at Fort Campbell. I met General Sternberg just before inviting him to our base at Pesach Seder. Although assigned to the General Base Command, he thought it would be a great idea if I went to the U.S. Army Airborne School in Georgia. And upon graduation, he would make me a member of the 101st. I smiled, and being afraid of heights, thought that that was one idea that would immediately go into the mental trash bin. Additionally, although I was an officer, I'd never gone through basic training, so I was not in great physical shape. And the airborne training was really grueling. Running 3 miles in 21 minutes in combat boots and 95-degree weather was another reason to put this out of my mind. Unfortunately, the base chaplain was there when General Sternberg made his suggestion, and he told all 30 of the other chaplains on the base. After being kidded about it for 3 months, I decided to join my chaplain's assistant unit for 1 hour of physical training every day. One thing led to another. In July '67, I went to the airborne school. It turned out that no other Jewish chaplain had ever successfully completed the school. So for my first jump, the Catholic assistant chaplain of the 82nd Airborne Division, middle person standing at the base of the airplane, was joined by a Protestant chaplain standing to his right. And on our first jump, we made a tri-faith jump, which, quote, made Army history. And there you can see me in my full parachute paraphernalia. The main parachute is on my back. The reserve parachute is in the front. And there I was getting ready to get aboard the plane to be joined by the 2 others shortly thereafter. This was my airborne class book, which I was very proud of. And when I returned to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, I was immediately assigned to the 101st Airborne Division. And shortly thereafter, became one of 4 Jewish chaplains sent to Vietnam, with the 525,000 troops in various Army, Marine, Navy, and Air Force troops. After a couple of months, I replaced the Navy Jewish chaplain in the northernmost sector of South Vietnam, which had 3 Army divisions and 3 Marine divisions. The senior Army chaplain in Vietnam called me into his office and said that since I was airborne qualified, I was the logical choice of the 4 rabbis to be stationed there. Because, quote, since I was crazy to jump out of planes, I would fit right in with the Marine Corps, unquote. My stay in the Army in general, and in Vietnam in particular, taught me the old adage, where there's a will, there's a way. Keeping kosher was a challenge for my Orthodox assistant and me. When he told me there was extra room in his particular quarters, which were equivalent to today's camp bunkhouses, without air conditioning, running water, or toilets, we decided to use it as a kosher kitchen. And there you see our kosher kitchen in Phu with a couple of the participants in the kit, regular participants of the kitchen food, together with my assistant and myself. My parents, who lived in Chicago, had it picked up by the Chicago Daily News. The commanding general was particularly proud that his corps was so prominently mentioned in the article, and from that point on, the kosher kitchen was one of his proud achievements, which guaranteed its continuing existence. A number of the not-so-religious Jews joined us for meals because our respective parents and some local scrounging made our meals much tastier than the ones served by the Army in the local mess hall, Army slang for the Army kitchen and eating area. I considered my basic duty to visit as many Jews out in the field as possible, talk to them, counsel them, and considering that I was greatly and vastly outnumbered by my non-Jewish colleagues, it was a personal commitment that I made to visit as many Jewish people as possible out in the camps. The Corps had more than 150 non-Jewish chaplains, and then there was me. My colleagues were extremely cooperative in telling me about where the Jews in their units were located, and one of the hardest challenges I faced was getting from one Army or Marine base to visit them. One of my predecessors ordered kosher wine, and due to a slight slip, Instead of shipping 400 cases of kosher wine to Vietnam, 4,000 cases of wine were shipped. So, when I wanted to visit a really remote area, I would look for a Marine officer who controlled the local helicopter group. I would place a bottle of wine on his desk and would tell him that I was afraid of the glass breaking, and so I was going to leave a little bottle on his desk. After eyeing the bottle, he would ask, quote, "What can I do for you?" Of course, I would answer, "Funny you should ask." I would tell him about my need to visit different bases, and he would say, "Be at the end of the helicopter launching pad at 8:30 the next morning." Inevitably, a Marine helicopter gunship would arrive with the orders to take me wherever I wanted to go. This was great. Until a number of weeks later, the Corps Commanding General, Lieutenant General Rawson, came to the Corps Chaplain Office and asked to speak to Chaplain Breslin. This would be equivalent to Rabbi Lookstein coming to your class and asking to speak to one individual in the class. I didn't know what to expect, but figured it couldn't be too bad. After all, the Army already had sent me to the most dangerous place in South Vietnam. He merely wanted to know how I was able to get to all of the different base camps within his command, as word had gotten out about my visits. And he pointedly told me that he got to these places because of a 3-star general. He had a helicopter that took him wherever he wanted to go. How did I get it? Not knowing how to answer it, I was certainly not going to tell him about passing out kosher wine. He broke into a smile and asked me if he really needed to know the answer. I said, "No, sir, you don't." Whereupon he smiled, saluted me, and said, "Whatever my secret was, just keep it up." Rosh Hashanah was conducted in a local in-country rest and recreation center. I was able to get a Sefer Torah from the U.S. and had brought my own shofar. Jewish Welfare Board supplied Maxorin, and we were able to have a very nice service. The 1st Air Cavalry Division, with their own helicopters, had so many Jews within their unit, their Jewish pilot and co-pilot were able to fly a very large Army helicopter, Chinook, to the R&R Center, landed on the beach for the entire period of Rosh Hashanah, and fly back after Yom Kippur, fly back after Rosh Hashanah, and they promised to come back for Yom Kippur. This is what our Rosh Hashanah services look like. The gentleman in the very front on the left was the 1st Air Cavalry pilot. I was succeeded by Rabbi Morton Singer, who was killed in a plane crash on the 2nd day of Hanukkah, about 8 days after I left. And here is a picture of Rabbi Singer presenting me, and I apologize for the graininess of the picture, but this was a scroll presented to me by my congregant, said what I called Anshe Tehillah Scuba. Scuba was the local camp that I called home during my stay in Vietnam. I was also presented a Bronze Star by the Chief Chaplain, U.S. Army Chaplain in Vietnam. And by the way, a memorial was dedicated to Rabbi Singer, Oliver Sholem, and 13 other rabbis who died while on active duty last October in Arlington National Cemetery. But enough about me. I do want to tell you about one other Jew who served in Korea. Tibor Rubin was liberated from the Mauthausen concentration camp by the American Army in '45. Took a personal oath to repay the Army. So when the Korean War broke out in '51, he immediately enlisted. He was trained as a rifleman, sent to Korea. The sergeant didn't like Jews. He was left to defend the mountaintop against the invading communist Chinese army, so that his unit could retreat, and then he was left on his own. He fought valiantly, but was captured and imprisoned in a communist Chinese prisoner of war camp. At night, he would escape the prison and steal food and desperately needed medical supplies, something he had learned how to do in Mauthausen. He was credited with saving the lives of 40 American prisoners of war. The penalty for getting caught was either torture or death. His valiant acts were never rewarded until 2005, when the review board was commissioned to look at the records of Jewish servicemen who were never given the appropriate military medals for their actions. At that time, he received the Congressional Medal of Honor, America's highest military award for valor, from President Bush in a White House ceremony. That's Corporal Rubin, many years later, with President Bush receiving the Medal of Honor draped around his neck. A number of other former Medal of Honor winners, as well as some of the soldiers whose lives he saved, were present. And as he was given the award by President Bush, they all stood and applauded. In summary, a real Kiddush Hashem. I want to leave plenty of time for questions, but I do want to end with this thought. In my humble opinion, next time you encounter a serviceman or a veteran, quote, seek the peace, unquote, in Yirmiyahu Hanavi's words, and thank them for their service to the United States.